Hi guys, how is everyone doing? I don't know what we're talking about today. I can leave. Oh, man.
There we go.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Sure they did.
What are you gonna talk about?
I don't know.
I didn't write anything down.
What? What are we
I
doing?
don't know.
All right. Well, what's
We still have a lot of things to decide.
We do. That's part of the problem.
Here, hold on.
Oh, he's leaving again. Goodbye. I swear we're gonna talk about something possibly interesting. We'll see.
What have we been doing for the last few days?
I've been all over the place. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we were filming, making the two bodas.
Yes. So
one in chestnut.
Mm-hmm.
One in cerulean.
Cerulean. Yeah. So you're gonna be coming out with what, a YouTube video?
I guess.
And maybe some things on the gram.
No, probably not.
So you did write things down.
No. This is not for this specifically. We were talking about, so Red Bridle ends 4/13, so we have to figure out when these go.
Right.
Chestnut launches.
Mm-hmm.
And then she'll redesign.
Yeah, and we need to figure out what we're naming these new bags.
Yes. Yeah.
What's your design planning stage look like? Well, clearly it's a lot right now.
A lot like this. That's not true.
No, that's not true at all. Design planning stage. I mean, for me, I typically come up with an idea and I think about it for potentially months and think about how
potentially years.
Sometimes. And then think about how I'm going to construct it, how I want it to work. And then once I feel pretty good about it, pretty solid, I'll do some sketches, and then I'll figure out a week that I can have, hopefully, is ideal. I feel it's been a few days, and I'll start paper, patterning everything out on paper. And then I'll make a prototype. And then usually, sometimes I'll get it right the very first, but I feel usually it's been more 2 to 3 versions before we're good to go. But this one right here, I mean, it's pretty much good to go. That's basically first try, but it is a version of a bag that we made before, so it's kind of...
That doesn't count. It does, because there's a lot that changes in making things smaller.
Yeah, and it's got different straps and things, so yeah, that's relatively how it goes. And then we'll do a pre-order typically for that new design, and then depending on how well the pre-order goes, if it goes really well, we'll order dies to make my life easier.
I'm very curious to see what happens after, whatever the next bag you design is, because we've been in a Maeve world for a little while, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens look like next. After that.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
I mean, we don't know.
Yeah. What advice do you have for someone getting into the price making side of things? So pricing things out.
You definitely have to know your costs very well. And you have to pay yourself if you want to sustain it. Otherwise, you
Which
won't.
is generally the goal.
I mean, it does. It does.
Nope, you just gave a thumbs up right on your face.
I mean, I think people just forget that you have to pay
no.
What?
Purse. They meant to say purse. Purse making side of things. What advice do you
I'm
have?
done talking then.
What advice do you have for someone getting into the purse making side of things?
I think that's what do you like? Kind of put that world together of the details you appreciate, and then edit it down to something that, maybe you're taking 4 or 5 different kinds of influences and making it your own.
Yeah, so I feel like we had a pretty set aesthetic right when we started.
Yeah.
And I think that really came from a lot of my fashion background, but also just both of our art backgrounds in general. I tend to like things with a lot of structure, and that goes for pretty much anything and everything, clothing wise. I don't like slouchy, squishy, soft stuff. I tend to like stuff that has more shape and structure to it. So that was right off the bat, I wanted to make a circle crossbody bag. And that kind of, the Greta or the Phoebe were one of the first ones.
Just real quick, you can look for holes in the market, something you want to see there that isn't there. You can look for, what people are doing really well, and if you have an idea to improve on it, what people aren't doing at all that you can kind of plug your vision into.
Yeah. And then the other part of it, I would just say, is collect a lot of images. Make yourself a Pinterest board if you haven't already. That's inspiration, just general inspiration as far as the aesthetic you're going for, and just start grabbing things that visually get you excited. And then once you've gathered a bunch of stuff, you can start to kind of go back through it and see is there a through line from all of these images that I've collected. That's the really basics, getting started. And then as far as actually,
it's a journey. It's not
as far as actually designing and making a bag, I mean, there's lots of different ways you could go about it. It's going to depend a lot on your previous knowledge. If you've sewn before, if you've made clothing before, then or you've patterned clothing out before, something like that, you've got a little bit of an upper hand as far as getting that going. If not, then my suggestion would be go to a thrift store or a garage sale or whatever, and buy a vintage bag, take it apart, figure out how it's constructed. Not that you're necessarily going to have to make your bag exactly like that, because a lot of cheaper bags are going to be made like a bag where you would sew it and then turn it, you'd sew it inside out, turn it right side out.
They're designed for ease of producing, speed, and
they're usually crappier materials, all kinds of things. But just figuring out how things are constructed and how you want to construct things, I think, is super helpful as far as if you're actually getting started physically making something. When I started off, I already had a lot of not a lot, but a decent amount of construction knowledge. And I really, when I first started off, it was just for fun.
Houses.
Yeah.
Really small ones.
Just for fun, I was making totes with vintage fabric, and then the bottom was leather. And I just made maybe 3 of them or something, and I gave one to my mom. I made one for myself, and that was purely for fun. And then eventually, once we started really going for it, became the experimentation.
Go to different stores, help learn different bag styles, help to see trends, how it's constructed, etc.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yep.
There are some books. There's not a ton, but we have a couple upstairs that do kind of deconstruct the basic bag types that there are.
I mean, having the awareness
helpful
of the types that exist is helpful.
Yeah, and then you want to think about kind of what you want to do, right? Do you want to just make crossbody bags? Do you want to have a whole line that has a lot of breadth to it? I have shoulder bags, crossbody bags, I have backpack. Do you have all these things, or do you want to focus on one thing? There's a lot to kind of figure out.
What can your material do? What kind of attributes does your material have, and what how can you work with them, or use them in a new and different kind of way?
Yeah, because when we got started, we started off with leather that was gifted to us.
Yep.
That was actually shoe leather, that I'd imagine was probably chrome tan.
Yep.
So it was definitely softer. It didn't finish the same way that the leather does that we work with now.
It was probably somewhat like a Chrome XL.
Yeah, I would imagine that's accurate. So it really changed how I constructed things because of how
you had to.
Yeah, how it reacted, like how it changed stuff.
I recommend the book Bag Design by Fashionera. Yeah, we have that one.
Mm-hmm, I agree.
Yeah, and that breaks down like the styles.
Yep.
I think it even has like your average handle drop.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't it kind of like deconstruct bags a little bit?
So.
Yeah.
It might even be patterns.
Yeah, I think you might be right, or at least something close to it.
Thanks.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. There aren't a ton of like actual books out there. At least what I've seen, there aren't a ton of like bag construction books.
No. But there's lots of different ways to get.
There's like traditional leather work.
Yeah, there's so many different directions you can go in. You could do lacing, like how you want to construct it is going to be kind of key, and kind of figuring out what your personal aesthetic is. And then it's like, are you wanting to make a business out of this, or is this just for fun? Because then you can probably skip a lot of things if you're just doing it for fun. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. But I do recommend definitely just going into store. I mean, we still do it. Go into stores, even like shitty stores, and like looking at how things, excuse me, are constructed. Even just to know, like, okay, like that's the crappy way that they're gonna do it.
Well, if you see it in a store like that, that's a big trend. That's a good indication that like you shouldn't go into that.
Yeah.
You should observe it, understand it, and why it happened. But like that's kind of over at that point, in my opinion, because then it's like mass market is like, to me, the end of a trend, usually.
Yes. Yeah. Which is funny because sometimes we start into trends like earlier than our customers are necessarily ready for, and
it's a slow roll up.
Yeah, and so they tend to like take a little while to do super well, and then all of a sudden they'll catch on and be like, "See, I told you that was going to do well. It just needed some more time."
Or it could be your, like, if you like something you've seen there, it could be a way for you to do it very, very well and be like the kind of counterbalance to a quick and dirty design.
Right.
What do you guys use for your paper templates? Is it a particular cardstock you use? Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be funny. So it's called, what is oak tag? Is like the name of the actual material that you want to use to make a.
It's legal size file folders.
But stop giving yourself thumbs up.
I'm not
over
doing
there.
it.
Maybe I'm doing it.
I think you're doing it.
Anyways.
So they do come in other colors. I learned that as well.
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, so what I have found is you can buy rolls of oak tag, very big rolls, which is great. Except that then they are difficult to make flat, and that drives me insane. So what I do is I get legal size file folders, which are made of oak tag at like Staples or whatever, and you can buy a box of like a couple hundred for pretty cheap. And if I need it to be a little bit bigger, I just tape it together with masking tape, but
yeah, the roll has a memory, so it like you're constantly just.
It's annoying. So I just like to get the file folders because they're flat and they're inexpensive. So yeah, literally all of our paper. I'll grab one of our patterns real quick.
Unless you have like a magical steam machine that you can. I don't know. I just made that up. How do you decide when you're done making a specific pattern? That's a great question. I almost feel like it's never complete. No, it's never really over.
So you can
always reconsider designs.
These are our paper patterns that I've made from. You can see there I taped. That was probably more of an edit. Like I made something too small and I need to make it bigger, so I added an on with tape. So yeah, legal file folders, real easy and cheap.
But I think we've tried to do a really good job of not allowing like perfection to get in the way of a launch. Because you can just re-edit patterns, and you can re-edit so much that it's not like your original idea anymore, which is a problem. Yeah. So you kind of have to get the idea out into the world, get feedback from it, and then you can change it then if you have to, or if while you're making it through the process over 6 months or whatever, you're like, I think we need to change this small detail, and then if you do that enough times, like you have a really solid design. Yeah, so like just as a really good example, our Bowery and mini Bowery bags. Yeah. You can see here's one in red. Here's it's like probably version 4 or 5, I think. Yeah, so that has been around with us for quite a while.
But like the very first one we launched was perfectly fine, was a great bag. We've made improvements with it. We've edited the interior pocket 2 or 3 times at this point.
Yeah.
And then we changed the top handles to go from just like a regular flat handle thickness handle to now a rolled handle.
There weren't feet when we started on there, right?
I think there were.
Or maybe the big battery didn't have feet. I don't think it had feet.
I think it had feet.
All right.
Anyways, but yeah, so like that is a really good example of like now the interior like we use a little bit of milled leather instead on the inside for our pocket. Like
right.
So we are constantly like looking at especially our best-selling designs and seeing like is there some way we can make this even better, improve it even more. And then there are some bags that I can actually give a really good example of this. There are some bags that we've made that did well and then kind of started to slow down, so we dropped them from the collection, but we've actually been considering bringing them back and redesigning them. One of those I can say is our Veda bag. I don't know if you guys remember it. It was a milled bag with like tassels on the end of the handles. We've been talking about if there's a way to bring that bag back in a new and different way, and I'm excited to give that a try.
That was like 2019. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. So as far as when it's done, it probably really isn't ever done. I'd say the only bags that we haven't edited heavily are like our Phoebe bag and our Greta bag, which are just like very simple crossbody bags. So there's probably not a whole lot to change there. But yeah, it is an ever evolving thing. I'd say when I do make a design, sure, there are times where I'm like, oh, I could try something else. But to me, it's like if my idea is out of my head and it's now in front of me and it's working, that's when I stop and be like, okay, now let's do this and see if people like it. And then you kind of go from there.
And it's like a constant catch up to where your skill set is going.
Yeah.
So like if you learn more things and new things or different things, you might want to reapply them to old things. And old designs, and then kind of bring everything up together.
Yeah, like that happened when we did what happened was
rolled handles everywhere.
Yeah, Nick's sister actually had our big Barry bag, and she had brought it to us to get it just conditioned. And I had been thinking about doing rolled handles just generally, and I was like, ooh, Nick, what if we tried replacing her handles on her bag for her and see if she likes it? And so we did that. We took the handles off. I made my first ever set of, I don't know if you call it a stuffed handle, whatever. It's like 2 layers with leather in between. And conditioned it like we had talked about, and handed it back to her, and she loved it. And so we decided, going forward to change that.
Do you foresee adding a textile to your line of bags? It's funny. I mean, I'm going to say no, just outright.
Yeah.
But, like, it's funny. I have been thinking about textiles. I don't know how it would apply, though. Exactly.
Yeah, we used to have canvas bags as part of our line.
Wax canvas.
Yeah. We did get rid of some of those machines, though. that we
we
used to make
we only
those
have
bags.
leather machines now.
Yeah. So I would probably say no also. I don't...
Well, I would imagine something more along the lines of, like, textile with, like, leather-bound edge. Like that vein instead of, like, just an actual fabric style bag. But probably no.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. Things we think about, but probably.
Yeah, and I mean, I did used to work in textile, so it is something I think about. But yeah, I like that our bags are 100% leather. Nothing else in there. Where are we as far as the red pre-orders are going?
Milled Boda is almost over. Regular order week is almost over, if you've been waiting on that.
Right, we are in order week. It is the
6th.
I'm like, what day is it?
I know, crazy.
For whatever reason, I have thought we are a day ahead every single day this week.
I forgot we were in March.
Except for today, which I was like, what are you doing setting up the cameras and stuff? And then I realized we had to do live.
So that ends, this week ends milled red.
Oh, okay.
It's over. And then Red Bridal begins with probably the mini Bowery, and we'd like to do that in the Bowery.
Yeah. Makes sense. So the milled bowed up.
And this will be, I mean, this is kind of old news at this point, but this is the only time we're going to get red this year. We'll decide if 2026 will bring it back. And this is the red bridle.
Yeah, and the milled is just like more of like the softer, pebbled texture. It is the same leather, it's just treated differently so that it has that texture and softness to it. It's kind of like getting a bag that's almost like already broken
This
in.
is the milled.
Yeah, you can see the texture.
And this already pre-ordered, so.
Yes. So you can't get that. But right now you can pre-order the milled Boda bag in red. I don't have it in red to show it to you, but this is it in black. So again, you can see that it's got that milled pebble texture to it. It's got a zipper top. The top handle is incredibly adjustable. There's 2 buckles on the inside of the bag that make it super long or super short.
Oh, and the Sally. Oh my god. The red Sally.
Oh, okay. You can also
which is always milled.
It's kind of got scuffed up a little bit. Or it got dusty, I guess. But yeah, so this is one of my favorite bags. I still haven't made myself one and I really need to. He won't let me. Just kidding.
Get out of here. What's your favorite leather conditioner? We use Chamberlain's leather milk. It comes with like a little pad, which I like. Here's a cleaner one. They come white.
They start off with.
They start off white. But yeah, it's like a lotion. There's so many options. There's like balms, there's lotions, there's
creams.
There's a French company, Saphir. That's probably what it's called. But they do like very nice ones. And some of them even have like a tint to them, so you can kind of replenish
color your bag.
your color. But yeah, there's tons and tons and tons of options. Is there anything else we needed to talk about? This is kind of a...
I don't know. Well, I know you guys wanted... So, okay. We do need help naming this bag right here.
So, well...
And both of them.
So, we suggested, like, naming them, like, the Maeve and then a number. Two different numbers. And then, we still just haven't seen one that we're like, yeah, that's it. So yeah, we're really open to names for this bag and this bag. They'd be like big and small version. This is the milled larger version, obviously. So yeah, any suggestions that you guys have, please. And this one has the 2-tone on the inside too. But. So if Red Bridle ends 4/13, that's like the last one. Is May too late to launch a new design? I don't know if we've ever launched anything in May. I don't. We haven't. And then, or do we do Chestnut in May? And the real question is, do we just make Chestnut available, or do we pre-order it? We're not sure. Like the demand is like key there. Like, is it going to be wild or not? Right. If it's crazy, it doesn't make sense to do it all at once. Right. But like, I don't want to just have like a pre-order every week for like 52 weeks. Yeah. Purple says Maggie to me. Purple says Penelope to me. Who's purple? The burgundy. Burgundy. I was like, okay. Interesting. We do have a Penelope already. Yeah. And that's our poodle's name, which is really funny. But we do like that name. And this is the other one. This one comes as a crossbody strap. There's the earrings on the back. The olive green bag looks amazing, very classy. Thank you. I'm really happy with how these came out. But yeah, so we need names for those, and then we're relaunching the mini Shelby bag. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, I don't know. So, well, that's what I was kind of getting at. So, right, like, okay. May is Maeve, or Chestnut, or are they both at the same time? And then is the new mini Shelby redesign June, and then summer is summer, and then we come back for fall. Or do we push this to fall? Or because Because I think chestnut can just kind of happen sooner.
That's probably fine. I thought we had talked about possibly launching the new bags at the same time as red is happening. And kind of ignoring the fact, not ignoring it, but like...
Yeah.
Is that too complicated on the website and stuff?
Yeah, I just want to be clear about what's happening. And
yeah.
I think it's getting crazy. Okay.
Oh, interesting. Any thoughts on how the tariffs may affect your business, supply chain, distribution, yada yada? Good question.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know what's concrete at this point. So
yeah. They seem to be flip-flopping quite a bit. It hopefully shouldn't affect us too much.
I wouldn't think so, but you never know. Like,
yeah.
if our producers are getting things that are tariffed, it all amplifies, right?
Yeah.
So we have to see if our costs change and what that means for our costs.
Right.
So it's it's no different than like a price change anyway. It's just it amplifies costs down the line.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, we don't know. We really don't know yet how it's gonna go.
And like, to be honest, we don't price like for retail, so like we're not sitting on like these fat margins.
Right. And what Nick means by that is, so like if we were pricing for retail, our prices would have to be much higher than they are. Because obviously when you're selling in a store, that store is taking quite a big cut out of your profit there. So yeah, so right now we're not priced for that. So yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, and since we started in 2017, it has been prices have substantially increased.
Yes,
especially for raw
leather
materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And the cowhides do come from North America, so they're coming from the United States, but it's also Canada. So it is possible that it will affect it. We just don't know.
Yeah, I think it more. Yeah, it depends. I mean, fuel prices could change. It's there's a lot. That encompasses a lot.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of a wait and see scenario, unfortunately. And who knows? Everything could change tomorrow.
That's true. All right. Anything else that we're forgetting? Probably everything.
We really just need to come up with a timeline and figuring out, I think, what it all looks like for the next 6 months, basically.
Yeah.
And then kind of come back to you guys.
We're usually more on top of it than this for scheduling, but a lot happened.
We're just doing a lot at once, and a lot is always going on, so that's kind of tricky. So yeah, we need to work on our schedule and get back to you guys with that. I also need to finalize the mini Shelby redesign. We need to come up with the names for the new bags.
Is that going to get a different closure, or is that the closure?
I want to make one with the zipper
and
C. Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Oh, that's right. You're going to mock it up.
Yeah.
Thanks for the scraps. Garrett and I have been busy making some new small items. Cool.
Oh, cool. That's great. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, so you guys don't know, once every few months we sell off a bunch of scrap leather that, we can't use to make our bags. One of our biggest goals is always to just cut waste as much as humanly possible. And so any leather that's still usable, like for instance, to make small goods like you're talking about, we will sell off every few months. So
just because they're not large enough for us to use in our bags doesn't mean they're not still usable for other people.
Exactly. So. Yeah. So it's always really good to hear or even see. Sometimes you guys will send us pictures of stuff you've made with our scrap leather, and it's really awesome. So thank you guys for buying that from us and making good use of it. That's great.
And if you want to share with us what you make, we always love that.
Oh yeah.
Because I love getting those pictures.
Yeah.
We sell scraps to others too. It's a great way for leather workers to spread leather around. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Definitely.
Well, and it's super helpful because sometimes when we're getting out of a color or leather, it's a nice clean, we're done.
Slate, yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah. Agreed.
Always a nice clean shop is
Which doesn't happen
awesome.
often.
Hey, I cleaned a little bit yesterday too.
It's not you. I'm the one that's usually making a mess. Which is funny because I'm not a messy person.
Yeah, except for in the basement.
I don't live down here.
She's very purposeful. It's like she'll be cutting something and she'll be like, ah!
I don't often get to throw things on the floor, so when I get the opportunity, or I throw them at you sometimes.
You do. I just discovered your company yesterday. I placed an order for a mini Barry. Awesome.
Oh,
Thank you.
you.
I can't wait to receive one of your gorgeous handbags.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. Thank you so much for your order. That's really exciting. Yeah.
How did you find us?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
We're hiding.
What kind of heat maker stamp do you have? It is a quick print. Yeah, we bought it used from a embroidery shop that was no longer going to use it.
From Reddit. Surprise.
Oh,
I wasn't expecting
that's
that.
Cool. I wouldn't have thought that either. Well, thank you for following us. Yeah, we typically do this once a week, sometimes, depending on how busy we are and what we have to share. So you can expect to see our faces often. But yeah, we bought our quick print heat press.
From like a monogramming shop.
Yeah, they decided they couldn't use it anymore, whatever. And so we got a pretty good deal on it, but it would have been a very expensive heat press otherwise.
There's a ton of options out there
that are less expensive, yeah.
I feel like in the last 2 years, there's been like
a bunch.
A whole bunch.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you need. Just make sure. A lot of them now have like a digital thermostat.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So ours is quite large, and we have some big bags, so that's helpful.
Yeah.
But there's smaller ones out there.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I think that's everything.
Yeah, I think so too. So hopefully next week we will be able to come back to you with, at the very least, a timeline. I think that is...
We're just usually not this far into like the year.
I know.
It's like we're a little bit in no man's land for like seasonality. So
yeah.
I just want to make sure it all makes sense.
I feel like part of the reason is because I typically would use like the last few weeks of December to really do my designs.
Mm-hmm.
And this time it got pushed.
Well, typically by January we have like the next 6-8 months like mapped out pretty strong.
Yeah.
Deciding to do the red again, I think
also
flip that around.
Yeah, that's true.
But, all right, I think that's all we got. It's 33 minutes, so we promise to keep these to 30.
Yeah, so we do it.
Do you make duffel bags? We don't, but a lot of people do.
Yep, we used to when we first started. Very short amount of time.
Duffel?
You did. You made them.
What canvas? That's like a lifetime ago. We don't think about we don't think about that. All right, we'll see you next week maybe.
Yep. Hopefully we'll have a timeline.
Red Bridal starts next week, which is exciting.
Yes.
And
send us your name ideas for these two
Maggie
bags.
And we can't use Penelope, sorry. We already have one.
We do have Penelope.
Have a good week.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for hanging out with us. Bye, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Turn it off.
Turn it off. Help. Do you want to end?
I guess.